I'm sitting in our quiet living room, the same room where Mark and I used to laugh and watch movies until late. Rain is tapping on the windows, my eyes are swollen from crying, and I'm holding the last photo we took together. My husband is gone, just like that. Cancer stole him from me in months. And then, when I was at my weakest, my in-laws stole something even more precious from me, my family heirloom jewelry. The revenge I planned later shocked them to their very core, because what they took wasn't just gold and gems. Stick with me, because this story will break your heart, make you angry, and then it will make you cheer. If stories about real betrayal, heartbreak, and justice hit you hard, please hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the bell. You won't want to miss what comes next. Let's go. My name is Sarah, and this is what really happened to me. Mark was my whole world. We met in college, fell in love over late-night coffee and silly dreams. He proposed under the stars on our 3rd anniversary, and we got married in a small backyard ceremony with fairy lights and our closest people. We bought this little house together, painted the walls soft blue because I loved the color, and talked about kids one day. Then the doctor said the word cancer, and everything changed. Mark fought so hard. I held his hand through every treatment, every bad night, but in the end, the disease won. He slipped away on a Tuesday afternoon while I was whispering how much I loved him. I was 32, a widow, alone. The funeral felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. People hugged me, said he's in a better place, brought flowers and food. I barely remember their faces. All I remember is the hole in my chest where Mark used to be. After everyone left, my in-laws, Mark's mom, Helen, his dad, George, and his sister, Lisa, stayed. They said, "We're here for you, Sarah. You're still family. Let us help." I believed them. I needed them. Grief had turned my brain to fog. I couldn't think straight, couldn't even decide what to eat, so I let them in. They came every day that first week. Helen brought chicken soup and wiped my tears. George fixed the leaky faucet Mark always meant to repair. Lisa sat with me on the couch, telling funny stories about Mark when he was little, how he once tried to ride the family dog like a horse. Their voices filled the silence, and for a moment, it felt like I wasn't completely alone. Among the things that kept me going were my jewelry pieces. They weren't just pretty things. They were memories wrapped in gold and stones. The diamond necklace my grandmother gave me on my 18th birthday, she said it would bring me luck and love. The gold bracelets with tiny hearts engraved, a wedding gift from my mom. The ruby earrings Mark bought me for our first Valentine's as husband and wife. He used to kiss my ear and say, "These look like they were made for you." Whenever the pain got too big, I would open my jewelry box, touch them, and feel a tiny piece of comfort. But one evening, after Helen, George, and Lisa had left, I sat on the bed and reached for the box. I needed to hold the necklace, just to feel close to the people I'd lost. My heart slammed against my ribs. I dug through the velvet trays. The bracelets, gone. The ruby earrings, gone. Everything. My breath came in short gasps. I looked around the room like maybe they'd fallen out. Nothing. Panic clawed up my throat. Had I moved them in my sleep? Had grief make me forget? No. I remembered putting them back after showing Lisa the earrings just 2 days earlier. She'd said, "Wow, these are stunning. Mark had such good taste." I called Helen right then, my voice cracking. "Helen, my jewelry is missing. The necklace, the bracelets, the earrings, they're not here." There was a long silence, too long. Then she said, soft and sweet, "Oh, honey, are you sure? Grief can make us forget where we put things. Maybe you tucked them away somewhere safe." George got on the phone. "We'll come tomorrow and help you look. Don't get yourself worked up." But I was already worked up. That night, I lay in our bed, his side still empty, and tears burned my eyes. Not just tears of sadness anymore, tears of anger. Little memories flashed. Helen always drifting toward the dresser. Lisa asking me to come to the kitchen for tea right when George was checking the attic. The quick looks they gave each other when I mentioned the jewelry. The next day they came. We searched together. Lisa opened drawers dramatically and said, "Nope, nothing here." Helen patted my shoulder and murmured, "Maybe they'll turn up." George just grunted and left the room. They left without finding anything because they already knew where everything was. That night, alone again, something inside me shifted. The grief was still there, heavy and crushing, but now there was fire underneath it. If they took my memories, my last pieces of Mark and my grandmother, then I would not let them get away with it. I didn't know how yet. I didn't know the full truth, but I knew one thing for sure. This wasn't over. They thought I was broken. They thought I was too sad to fight back. They were wrong. Last time I told you how my world fell apart after Mark died, how my in-laws, Helen, George, and Lisa, acted like they were helping me grieve, but then my precious heirloom jewelry vanished. The diamond necklace from my grandma, the gold bracelets, the ruby earrings Mark gave me, they were all gone. Their excuses felt fake. Their eyes wouldn't meet mine. That night, the grief turned into something sharper, pure, burning anger. I wasn't going to cry anymore. I was going to fight back. If these stories of betrayal and comeback are hitting you hard, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you need to see what happens next. Let's keep going. The days after that useless search with them felt endless. Every morning I woke up hoping it had all been a bad dream, but the empty jewelry box on my dresser stared back at me like a wound that wouldn't close. I'd run my fingers over the velvet lining where the necklace used to sit, and my chest would tighten so hard I could barely breathe. Those weren't just things. That necklace was the one my grandma wore when she danced with my grandpa at their 50th anniversary party. She told me it brought her luck in love, and I believed her because Mark came into my life right after she gave it to me. The bracelets had tiny dents from when my mom would clap her hands in excitement every time I came home from school with good grades. And the ruby earrings? Mark surprised me with them on our honeymoon. He slipped them on my ears while we watched the sunset and whispered, "Now the whole world knows you're mine." Every memory hit me like a punch when I realized they were gone. I stopped sleeping properly. I'd lie in our bed, his pillow still smelled faintly like his shampoo, and replay every moment they were in the house. Helen always tidying near the dresser, Lisa pulling me into long hugs in the kitchen so my back was turned, George asking innocent questions about where I kept important papers. The more I thought about it, the more the pieces fit together like an ugly puzzle I didn't want to see. I couldn't just sit there and let them win, so I did the first thing that felt like taking back power. I bought hidden cameras, cheap ones from an online store, small enough to hide in plain sight. When the box arrived, I sat on the floor of the living room and unwrapped them with shaking hands. Part of me felt ashamed, like I was betraying the family Mark loved, but then I remembered Lisa's fake sweet smile when she said, "We're here for you, Sarah." No, they weren't. I wasn't betraying anyone. I was protecting what was left of my heart. I placed one camera behind a stack of Mark's old photo books on the shelf. Another one I tucked into the frame of the mirror above the dresser, the perfect angle to catch anyone opening the jewelry box. I downloaded the app, linked them to my phone, and tested the feed. Seeing my own empty house on the screen made my stomach flip, but it also made me feel strong. For the first time since the funeral, I wasn't just waiting for the pain to pass, I was doing something about it. A week later, Helen called, her voice all sugar. "Sarah, we miss you. Let us come over Sunday for dinner. I'll bring lasagna, Mark's favorite. We can talk, remember the good times." My throat closed up. I wanted to scream, "Stay away from me." But instead, I swallowed hard and said, "Okay, that would be nice." Inside, my mind was racing. This was my chance to watch them closer. Before they arrived, I went on a mission. I drove to every pawn shop within a 30-minute radius. My palms were sweaty on the steering wheel. The first two places had nothing. At the third, a dingy little shop with buzzing fluorescent lights and a bell that jingled too cheerfully, the owner listened while I described the necklace. He nodded slowly, opened a drawer, and pulled out a velvet tray. There it was, my grandma's diamond necklace, sparkling like it had never left my life. My knees almost buckled. I gripped the counter to stay upright. "Paperwork?" I managed to ask. He tapped on his computer. "Sold 2 weeks ago. Receipt under Lisa Thompson." Lisa, my sister-in-law, the same woman who'd hugged me at the funeral and said, "We'll get through this together." I stared at the signature on the screen, her loopy handwriting I'd seen 1,000 times on holiday cards. My vision blurred with hot tears, but they weren't sad this time. They were furious. They had sold it. While I was barely eating, barely sleeping, barely breathing, they were turning my memories into cash. I thanked the owner in a numb voice and walked out. In the parking lot, I slid into my car, locked the doors, and let the sobs come. Not quiet tears, big, ugly, angry ones that shook my whole body. How could they? How could family do this? That night, I opened the camera app for the first time since installing them. I scrolled back to the day after our useless search, and there they were, Helen, George, and Lisa, sneaking back into my house while I was out buying milk and bread. The footage was crystal clear. Lisa went straight to the bedroom. Helen followed. George stood watch at the door like a lookout. I turned up the volume, heart slamming against my ribs. Helen, she still hasn't asked about the rest. Perfect timing. Lisa, that necklace alone got us almost $8,000. Imagine what the full set will bring. George, keep it quiet. She's too wrecked to notice anything right now. $8,000 for one piece, and they laughed about it. I replayed it 3 times, each time feeling the rage grow bigger, hotter, until it filled every empty space grief had left behind. They didn't just steal jewelry, they stole my trust, my memories, my last bits of comfort, and they thought I was too weak to do anything about it. They were so wrong. The next morning, I started planning for real. I researched fake jewelry that looked expensive. I looked up how appraisals worked. I even Googled family gathering ideas where everyone would be in one room, witnesses. Fear still gnawed at me. What if they got away with it? What if I couldn't prove anything? But every time doubt crept in, I thought of Mark. He'd always said, "You're stronger than you know, Sarah." I clung to that. Sunday dinner was coming fast. They'd walk into my house, smiling, carrying food, acting like loving in-laws. But this time, I'd be watching, waiting, ready. And when the moment came, I wouldn't just confront them. I'd make sure they never forgot what they did. Last time, I shared how the anger took over after I found my grandma's diamond necklace in a pawn shop, signed for by my own sister-in-law, Lisa. Then, the hidden cameras caught them in my house, whispering about the money they'd already made off my jewelry. "She's too broken to fight," they said. Those words lit a fire in me that grief could never put out. I bought fake jewelry to use as bait, started researching fake appraisals, and planned the perfect trap. Sunday dinner with Helen, George, and Lisa was coming. They thought they were coming to comfort a sad widow. They had no idea I was about to turn the tables. If you're feeling that mix of heartbreak and excitement right now, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss how this all explodes. Let's dive deeper. Sunday morning hit me like a freight train. I woke up at 5 a.m., heart already racing, stomach in knots. The house felt too quiet, too empty without Mark snoring or his sleepy "good morning, beautiful." But today wasn't about missing him. It was about protecting what he left behind. I stood in front of the mirror, looked myself in the eyes, and whispered, "You've got this, Sarah. For him. For you." I spent hours setting the stage. First, the fake jewelry. I'd chosen them so carefully. The sapphire ring had that deep, rich blue that almost looked alive under light. The pearl necklace had an antique-looking clasp that screamed old money. The emerald earrings dangled like tiny green flames. They weren't real, but in low light, with a grieving widow's story attached, they screamed priceless. I laid them in the jewelry box like treasures, left the lid slightly open so the sparkle would catch anyone's eye the second they walked into the room. Then I slipped in that handwritten note. These were Mom's favorites, saving them for special days. My handwriting shook a little as I wrote it, not from nerves, from pure, controlled fury. I added 2 more hidden cameras, one inside the dining room chandelier, it blended perfectly with the crystals, another behind Mark's framed photo on the mantel. He was smiling in that picture, the one from our last beach trip. Every time I looked at it, I felt him saying, "Go get 'em." My phone was hidden in the kitchen drawer, set to record from all angles. I even tucked a small Bluetooth speaker under the edge of the tablecloth, ready to blast their own words back at them if I needed to. By 5:30 p.m., the table was set. Candles flickering, Mark's favorite jazz playing low, roast chicken in the oven, potatoes mashed just how he liked them, with extra butter and garlic. The smells wrapped around me like a hug from the past. I wore a simple black dress, the silver locket with our photo against my skin. Every few minutes I touched it, drew strength from it. They arrived right at 6. Helen first, arms full of a bakery box and that same rose perfume that used to comfort me, but now made my skin crawl. "You look stronger today, honey," she cooed, pulling me into a hug I barely returned.
George shuffled in behind her, carrying a casserole dish, grunting a hello. Lisa came last, purse clutched to her side like it held the crown jewels. She kissed my cheek. We brought red wine, thought we could raise a glass to Mark. The words tasted like poison in the air, but I forced a small smile. That would be perfect. We sat. I served the food with hands that didn't shake. Not anymore. Conversation started safe. Memories of Mark's terrible dad jokes, how he once burned an entire Thanksgiving turkey because he got distracted watching football. Laughter came, soft and real from some, forced from others. I watched Helen's eyes flick toward the living room doorway every few minutes. Lisa kept glancing at her purse. George ate like nothing was wrong, but his fork scraped the plate louder than usual. Halfway through the main course, I stood up slowly, like the thought had just occurred to me. Oh, I almost forgot. While I was going through the attic last week, I found a few more pieces of Mom's jewelry. I'd completely forgotten they were up there. I walked out, came back with the jewelry box cradled in my arms like a baby. I set it in the center of the table and lifted the lid with deliberate care. The chandelier light hit the sapphire ring first. Blue sparks danced across everyone's faces. The pearls glowed soft and creamy. The emeralds caught fire. Helen sucked in a breath. Lisa leaned so far forward her elbow knocked her wine glass. A red drop spilled like blood. George actually froze mid-bite, eyes wide. These were hers, I said, voice low and trembling on purpose. I ran a finger along the pearl strand. She wore the necklace on my wedding day, said it would bring me luck. I let my voice crack. A single tear rolled down my cheek. I didn't have to fake that one. I miss her. I miss Mark. Sometimes it feels like everything I love gets taken away. Helen reached across the table and squeezed my hand. They're stunning, Sarah. You have to keep them locked up tight. But her gaze was glued to the emeralds, hungry. Lisa's voice came out too fast, too bright. Those emeralds, Sarah, they're incredible. Real emeralds that color and size? They're super rare. Have you had them appraised yet? I shook my head slowly. No, I wouldn't even know where to start. I can't bear to let them out of my sight right now. They're all I have left of her. George cleared his throat. Lisa knows a guy at that jewelry place on Main, does free estimates for family. We could take them over tomorrow if you want. I pretended to hesitate, biting my lip. I don't know. I'm scared to let them go. Lisa jumped in like she'd been waiting for the cue. We could just hold them for you, safe at our house, until the appraisal. You trust us, right? We're family. I looked at each of them, Helen's pleading eyes, Lisa's barely hidden excitement, George's careful blank stare. Then I nodded, voice small. You're right, I do trust you. Why don't you take them tonight? Keep them safe for me, please. Helen's face lit up like she'd won the lottery. Lisa's fingers twitched toward the box. George gave the tiniest nod. They left an hour later. Lisa's purse was heavier now. Helen hugged me so tight I could feel her heartbeat racing. We'll take good care of them, sweetheart. Promise. The door clicked shut. Their car lights disappeared down the street. I locked the door, leaned against it, and let the shaking come. Full-body tremors of rage and triumph mixed together. I slid to the floor, pulled out my phone, and opened the camera feed. There they were in the car. Lisa already had the emeralds in her hand, holding them up to the dashboard light. These are going to make us so much money, she breathed. Helen laughed, a low, greedy sound. Appraise them tomorrow, then sell quick. She won't even ask for weeks. I saved the clip, watched it again and again. The next 48 hours were torture and power at once. I didn't call them, didn't text, let them think I was too lost in grief to notice. But I wasn't idle. I met Maria, the estate jewelry appraiser, in her quiet office. I showed her every photo I had of the real pieces, the pawn receipt, my old snapshots. She studied them with a loupe and then looked up at me with wide eyes. Sarah, these aren't ordinary heirlooms. The diamonds hidden in the settings are rare colored ones. Pinks, blues, yellows, and that Burmese ruby? Top quality, over 4 carats. Conservatively, the full set is worth $2.3 million, maybe more at auction. $2.3 million. My breath caught. Mark had never said a word. He just called them our little treasures. And now my in-laws thought 3 cheap fakes were their next jackpot. I sat in my car after that meeting and laughed, quiet, bitter, victorious laughter. They had no idea what really stolen from me, or what I was about to steal back from them in return. It was time to plan the memorial dinner, the big one, the whole family, the cameras, the truth, the police. They thought they'd broken a grieving widow. They were about to face a woman who learned exactly how to break them.
Last time I left you at the edge. I'd handed over 3 stunning fake heirlooms to my in-laws, Helen, George, and Lisa, pretending they were my late mom's priceless pieces. They practically salivated, thinking they'd just scored another big payday. The hidden cameras caught every greedy whisper in their car. Meanwhile, a real appraiser told me the truth my husband never mentioned. My stolen jewelry wasn't just sentimental, it hid rare gems worth over $2 million. They had no clue what they'd really taken from me. Now it was time for the final trap, a memorial dinner for Mark. The whole extended family invited, police on standby, and one last devastating surprise ready to drop. If your blood is boiling and your heart is racing with me, hit subscribe and ring the bell. This is the moment everything changes. The invitation went out 10 days after they took the fakes. Plain white card, elegant gold script. Please join me for a quiet evening to remember Mark. Saturday at 7 p.m. My home. Bring stories, not gifts. Love, Sarah. I didn't just invite Helen, George, and Lisa. I invited everyone who truly loved Mark. His favorite Aunt Clara, who used to sneak him extra cookies. Uncle Tom, who taught him how to fish. Cousins who grew up like siblings. 20 people. 20 pairs of eyes that would witness what was coming. Friday night, I met Detective Ramirez in the back booth of a small diner. The place smelled like coffee and fried onions. I laid everything out on the table like evidence in a courtroom. Printed pawn receipts with Lisa's signature, still frames from the cameras showing them in my house, the car footage where they gloated over the fortune they thought they'd found. When I handed him Maria's appraisal report, $2.3 million, he stared at the number for a long moment. "This isn't small-time greed, Sarah," he said quietly. "This is calculated. Exploitation during vulnerability. We'll be there Saturday, 2 officers in plain clothes, parked nearby. You give the word, we come in." I nodded. My throat was so tight I could barely speak. "Thank you." Friday felt like the longest day of my life. I cooked from dawn. Mark's roast chicken with rosemary from our little garden, creamy garlic potatoes, the apple pie he always begged for seconds of. The kitchen filled with smells that made my eyes sting. Every time I stirred the gravy, I pictured Mark leaning against the counter, stealing tastes and grinning. "You're the best cook I know," he'd say. I touched the silver locket around my neck, our first date photo inside, and whispered, "This is for you." By 6:30, the house was ready. Candles everywhere, soft jazz playing, Mark's photo smiling from the mantel. I wore a deep green dress, the color of the fake emeralds they thought they owned. It felt like armor. People arrived in waves, hugs that lingered. "We miss him too." Tears wiped quickly. Aunt Clara squeezed my hands and said, "You're so strong, sweetheart." I smiled, but inside I was counting minutes. Helen, George, and Lisa came last. Helen carried a bakery box of cookies like it was a shield. George avoided my eyes. Lisa's purse looked bulkier than usual. She hadn't sold the fake set. She probably wanted one more appraisal to drive up the price in her mind. We sat. The table glowed with candlelight. Stories started flowing. Mark's epic fail at karaoke, the time he tried to build a treehouse and ended up stuck in it. Laughter bubbled up, real and warm from most, strained from the 3 across from me. After dessert plates were cleared, I stood. My hands were steady, my voice calm. "Thank you all for being here. Mark would have loved this, seeing everyone together, sharing memories. Before we end tonight, there's one more thing I need to do." I paused, let the quiet settle. A few weeks ago, I asked Helen, George, and Lisa to keep some of Mom's jewelry safe for me, beautiful pieces I found in the attic. Tonight, I'd like to see them one last time before I lock them away forever. Lisa's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Helen's smile cracked at the edges. George shifted like the chair was suddenly burning him. I turned to them. "Could you bring them out, please?" Helen laughed nervously. "Oh, Sarah, we didn't bring them. They're safe at home. We can show you pictures tomorrow." I tilted my head. "Pictures? That's odd. Because the night you took them, I watched Lisa hold the emerald earrings up to the streetlight in your car. She said they were going to make us so much money." The room went dead silent. You could hear the candles flicker. I pulled my phone from the pocket, tapped play. The Bluetooth speaker under the tablecloth came alive with their own voices, crystal clear. "Lisa, these are going to make us so much money." Helen, "Appraise them tomorrow, then sell quick. She won't even ask for weeks." Gasps. Aunt Clara flew her hand to her chest. Uncle Tom's face turned thunder red. A cousin whispered, "No way." Lisa shot to her feet. "Sarah, that's out of context. We were..."
out of context, like how you sold my grandma's diamond necklace for $8,000 while I was barely eating. Here's your signature on the pawn receipt. I slid the paper across the table. It landed in front of Lisa like a slap. Helen started babbling. We were going to give you the money. We needed help with bills. We thought, what? Tears burned my eyes now, hot and unstoppable. That because I was grieving, I wouldn't notice? That because I trusted you, because Mark trusted you, you could take the last pieces of him and my family and turn them into cash? I looked around the table at the stunned faces. Those pieces weren't just gold and stones. Hidden inside were rare colored diamonds and a Burmese ruby worth over $2 million. Mark never even told me the full value. He called them our treasure. You called them easy money. The room exploded. Shouts, chairs scraping back. Uncle Tom stood up, pointing at George. You did this to your own son's widow? Aunt Clara was crying, shaking her head at Helen. How could you? Lisa sobbed. It was a mistake. We're sorry. Helen reached for me. Sarah, please, we're still family. I stepped back. Family doesn't rob widows in their darkest hour. I looked toward the doorway. Detective Ramirez and his partner stepped in quietly, badges glinting. Helen Thompson, George Thompson, Lisa Thompson, you're under arrest for grand theft, fraud, and financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. The cuffs clicked. Lisa wailed. Helen begged. George stared at the floor, silent. As they were let out, the room was a storm of emotion. Hugs from the good family, people telling me I was brave, that Mark would be proud. I stood there, shaking, tears streaming, but for the first time since he died, the weight on my chest felt lighter. Later that night, alone with the candles burned low, I opened the safe. The appraisal papers sat inside. The jewelry was gone forever, but the civil suit that followed would recover what could be recovered, and more importantly, it would make sure no one else ever felt this betrayed. They thought grief had broken me. They never imagined the revenge I planned, because the fortune they stole turned their greed into the weapon that destroyed them. And in the end, justice didn't just feel good, it felt like coming home to myself again.
Last time, the truth exploded at the memorial dinner. I played the hidden footage for the whole family. Helen, George, and Lisa's own voices bragging about the money they'd make from my heirloom jewelry. I showed the pawn receipt with Lisa's signature. I revealed the real value. Over $2 million in hidden rare gems they never even knew about. The room turned into chaos. Shouts, tears, fury from the people who actually loved Mark. Then Detective Ramirez stepped in. Cuffs clicked. They were arrested right there in front of everyone. I stood shaking, tears falling, but feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Free. If this story has you gripping your seat, heart racing with every twist, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You deserve to know how it all ends. Here's the final chapter. The police took them away quietly, no dramatic sirens, just firm hands guiding them to the cars parked down the street. Lisa was sobbing so hard she could barely walk. Helen kept whispering my name like a prayer for forgiveness. George didn't say a word. He just stared at the ground the entire time, like the floor might open up and swallow him. Aunt Clara hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would crack. Uncle Tom kept repeating, I can't believe they did this to you. The cousins stood in stunned silence, some crying, some shaking their heads in disbelief. After the cars pulled away, the house felt different. The candles were still burning low, the jazz still playing softly, but the air wasn't heavy with secrets anymore. People stayed late. They didn't rush to leave. They sat with me on the couch, held my hands, told me stories about Mark I'd never heard, how he once drove 3 hours to surprise Aunt Clara with her favorite ice cream when she was sick, how he quietly paid Uncle Tom's electric bill one winter when things were tight. They reminded me that not all family is blood. Some family is chosen, and the chosen ones were still here. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dark living room with Mark's photo in my lap, tracing his smile with my finger. The grief was still there, sharp, deep, but it didn't feel like the only thing inside me anymore. Anger had burned some of it away. Justice had carved out space for something new. Hope, maybe, or peace. I wasn't sure yet. The next morning, the calls started. First, Detective Ramirez. They'd been booked, charged with grand theft, fraud, conspiracy, exploitation of a vulnerable adult. Bail was set high. Lisa's lawyer was already trying to get it lowered, but the judge wasn't budging. Evidence was overwhelming. Footage, receipts, witness statements from half the dinner table. "They're not going anywhere soon," he told me. "You did everything right, Sarah." Then the appraiser, Maria, called. She'd heard through a friend in the jewelry community that pieces matching my description had surfaced at a high-end auction house 2 states over. The necklace, bracelets, and earrings, my pieces, were listed for private sale. The auction house had no idea they were stolen. They'd taken them on consignment from a family collector. I gave her the detective's contact. Within hours, the pieces were pulled from sale, seized as evidence. They weren't coming home to me. The criminal case meant they'd be held until everything was resolved. But knowing they weren't in some stranger's safe made the ache a little smaller. Weeks turned into months. The criminal trial was brutal. I had to testify, sit in a courtroom, and look at Helen, George, and Lisa in orange jumpsuits. Helen cried through most of it. Lisa stared at me like I'd betrayed her. George just looked old, smaller than I remembered. The jury didn't take long. Guilty on all counts. Sentences came down hard, 5 to 10 years for each. Restitution ordered in the amount of the jewelry's appraised value. They'd have to pay back every cent they could scrape together for the rest of their lives. The civil suit was quieter but no less satisfying. My lawyer went after their assets: house, savings, retirement accounts. They settled out of court with what they had left. It wasn't $2 million, but it was enough to start something meaningful. I used most of it to create the Mark Thompson Widows Support Fund. It helps women who've lost their partners and then been taken advantage of. Legal aid, counseling, emergency funds. Every time I sign a check to help someone, I feel Mark smiling. I still live in our little house. The walls are still soft blue. I planted rosemary in the garden because it reminds me of his chicken dinners. The jewelry box sits empty on the dresser now, not as a reminder of loss, but as proof that I survived, that I fought, that I won. Sometimes at night, I open the locket, look at our photo, and talk to him. I whisper, "They thought grief would break me. They were wrong, because the fortune they stole didn't just destroy them, it gave me the strength to rebuild everything they tried to tear down." And in those quiet moments, I feel him close, not gone, just waiting for me on the other side of the storm. They stole my jewelry after my husband's death. The revenge I planned shocked them, because what they took wasn't just gems, it was my last reason to keep going. And by trying to take it, they handed me back my power. Thank you for staying with me through every tear, every rage-filled night, every step of the fight. If this story moved you, share it. Someone out there needs to know they're not alone, and they're stronger than they think.
Last time, we closed the circle. The arrests at the memorial dinner, the guilty verdicts, the long sentences, the restitution that funded a support foundation in Mark's name. The stolen jewelry was recovered as evidence, but never quite came home. Yet I found a new purpose, helping other widows who've been betrayed when they're at their lowest. The house still smells like rosemary some evenings, the locket still hangs around my neck, and in the quiet moments, I talk to Mark like he's just in the next room. They thought grief would shatter me forever. Instead, it forged something unbreakable. If this journey has touched something deep inside you, if you've ever felt powerless and then found your strength, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this story. Someone needs to hear it tonight. Now, one last chapter, the one that shows what comes after the revenge. Months after the trials faded from the headlines, life didn't snap back to normal. Normal was gone. But a different kind of normal started to grow, slow and careful, like rosemary pushing through cracked soil. I kept the house, painted one wall a soft sunrise yellow, because Mark always said yellow made him think of hope. I turned his old office into a small workspace for the foundation. Files, laptop, a photo of him laughing on the desk. Every time I answered an email from a woman who'd lost her husband and then her savings to family help, I felt him nodding approval. One afternoon, a package arrived, no return address. I opened it with a knot in my stomach. Inside was my grandma's diamond necklace. Cleaned, polished, sparkling like the first day she gave it to me. A small note tucked in the velvet pouch. "Sarah, we couldn't keep it. Not after everything. It belongs with you. Clara." Aunt Clara. She'd quietly bought it back from the evidence auction when the case closed, using part of her own savings. No fanfare, no expectation of thanks, just family doing what family should. I sat on the floor and cried. Good tears this time, the kind that wash away the last stubborn stains of bitterness. I fastened the necklace around my neck and looked in the mirror. For the first time in years, I didn't see a broken widow. I saw a woman who'd walked through fire and come out carrying light. The foundation grew. We helped dozens of women that first year. Legal fees covered, therapy sessions paid, emergency rent when helpful relatives cleaned out bank accounts. I started speaking at support groups, not as a victim, as a survivor who learned that revenge isn't always about hurting the people who hurt you. Sometimes it's about building something so strong that their cruelty can never touch anyone else the same way. One evening, I hosted a small gathering, not a memorial, but a celebration. Survivors, supporters, a few of Mark's old friends. We ate roast chicken and apple pie. We laughed about his bad dancing and terrible puns. And when the night wound down, I stood up with the necklace catching the lamplight. I used to think losing Mark was the hardest thing I'd ever face. Then I thought losing my memories of him and my family would break me completely. But here's what I learned. Grief doesn't end. It changes shape. And sometimes the people who try to steal your light end up handing you a match. I lifted my glass to Mark, to the family we choose, to every woman who's still fighting in the dark. Your dawn is coming. Glasses clinked, tears fell, hugs lasted longer than words. Later, when everyone had gone, I walked outside to the garden. The rosemary was blooming tiny purple flowers. I knelt, touched the leaves, breathed in the scent. I did it, I whispered. We did it. A soft breeze moved through the yard, like a hand brushing my cheek. I smiled up at the stars. They stole my jewelry after my husband's death. The revenge I planned shocked them because what they took wasn't just a hidden fortune in gems. It was my chance to discover I was never truly broken, only waiting to become more. And that's the end of my story. Not the end of the pain, but the beginning of everything else. Thank you for walking every step with me. If you've ever needed to hear that you're stronger than the worst thing that's happened to you, I hope this helped you believe it. Until the next story finds us, take care of your heart.
Last time, we stepped into the quiet aftermath. The necklace returned by Aunt Clara's kindness, the foundation growing, one helped woman at a time. Small celebrations filled with chicken, pie, and real laughter. I planted rosemary that bloomed purple, spoke at support groups, and started to feel Mark's presence not as absence, but as quiet strength beside me. Revenge had shocked them because the fortune they stole became the spark that rebuilt my life. But stories like this don't truly end on the last page. They echo. If this tale has stayed with you, if it's made you hug someone a little tighter, or reminded you of your own hidden strength, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share it with one person who might need it tonight. Let's wrap this journey with one final, heartfelt piece. Years have passed since that memorial dinner where cuffs clicked and truth spilled like broken glass. The calendar says it's been long enough that the sharp edges of pain have softened into something I can hold without bleeding. I still live in our blue-walled house, though now there's a second rocking chair on the porch for the evenings when friends drop by unannounced. The foundation, Mark's legacy, has offices in 3 cities now. We've helped hundreds of women. Some rebuilding bank accounts drained by helpful relatives, others finding lawyers when grief made them too numb to fight, a few even starting small businesses with emergency grants so they could stand on their own again. I don't speak at every event anymore. Younger voices, women who found us when they were at rock bottom, carry the microphone now. I sit in the back row and listen, tears slipping down quietly because every story reminds me how close I came to staying broken. But I didn't. And neither will they. One spring afternoon, I got a letter, handwritten, postmarked from the state prison, Helen's careful cursive on the envelope. My fingers hesitated over the seal for a full minute before I opened it. Sarah, I had years to think, too many. I was wrong, cruelly, selfishly wrong. We told ourselves it was just things, that you'd never notice, that we deserved help more than you did in your grief. We were greedy and blind. I can't give back the years or the trust we shattered, but I need you to know I'm sorry, truly, every day. If there's ever anything I can do, even from here, please tell someone. Helen. I read it twice. No anger rose up this time, just a heavy, tired sadness for what could have been. I didn't write back. Some apologies come too late to mend what was broken, but I folded the letter and placed it in the box with Mark's things, not as forgiveness, but as proof that even the people who hurt us can change when the mirror finally shows them the truth. That same week, Lisa's daughter, Mark's niece, barely 18 when it all happened, showed up at my door.
She looked so much like him, same warm brown eyes, same nervous half-smile. She held a small wooden jewelry box. "Aunt Sarah, I found this in Mom's old storage after she got moved to the low-security place. It's yours, the ruby earrings. They never sold them. She couldn't." I opened the box. There they were, deep red, catching the hallway light like frozen drops of wine. My breath caught. I touched them gently, remembering Mark fastening them on me for our anniversary dinner, kissing my earlobe and murmuring, "Perfect." The girl's eyes were shiny. "I'm so sorry for what they did. I was too young to understand then. I understand now." I pulled her into a hug. She cried against my shoulder the way I'd cried alone so many nights. When she left, she took my phone number and a promise that the door was always open. Family isn't only the ones who stay loyal from the start. Sometimes it's the ones who find their way back. Tonight, the house is quiet again. Rosemary's scent drifts in through the open window. The necklace rests on my collarbone, cool and familiar. The ruby earrings are back in the jewelry box, not hidden anymore, just waiting for the right day to wear them. I light a single candle on the kitchen table. Mark's photo smiles from the shelf. I raise my glass of water like it's champagne. "To us," I whisper. "To the love that outlasts everything. To the revenge that wasn't about hurting them, but about refusing to let them define me." The flame flickers, a breeze moves the curtain, and for a heartbeat, I swear I feel his hand on mine. They stole my jewelry after my husband's death. The revenge I planned shocked them, because what they took wasn't just a hidden fortune, it was the last fragile thread holding me together. And by ripping it away, they forced me to weave something stronger, something unbreakable. A life rebuilt, a purpose born from pain, a heart that learned it could still love, still trust, still bloom. That's the real ending. Not justice in a courtroom, not even the jewelry coming home. It's me, sitting here tonight, smiling through tears, knowing I'm okay. More than okay. I'm whole again. Thank you for being here through every raw, angry, hopeful word. If you're carrying a heavy story of your own right now, please know this. You are stronger than the worst thing that's happened to you, and your dawn is coming. Until our paths cross in another story, keep your heart open. It's tougher and more beautiful than you know.
Last time, we lingered in the soft glow of healing. The returned necklace from Aunt Clara, the ruby earrings finding their way home through a young niece's courage, the foundation touching hundreds of lives, Helen's late apology folded away as quiet closure. I spoke to Mark under the stars, Rosemary blooming around us, feeling whole in ways I never thought possible again. The revenge that started in rage ended in rebirth. But every story this powerful deserves one final breath, a reflection on what it all truly means, and a gentle goodbye. If you've laughed, cried, or felt a spark of your own strength while walking this path with me, please hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this series with anyone who might need to remember they're not alone. Let's close this chapter together. Time has a way of turning sharp memories into something smoother, like river stones polished by years of quiet flow. Today, the house still carries echoes of Mark, his laugh in the creak of the floorboards, his warmth in the way sunlight hits the kitchen table at noon. The jewelry box on the dresser holds the necklace, the bracelets recovered through the long civil process, and those ruby earrings that now catch light every morning when I open the curtains. They're not hidden treasures anymore. They're reminders. Beauty can survive betrayal. Love can outlast greed. The foundation keeps growing. Last month, we opened a small safe house program, temporary homes for widows escaping toxic family situations, complete with counseling and job training. Every woman who walks through the door gets the same thing I needed most back then: someone to believe her story without judgment. I don't run it alone anymore. Survivors who once needed help now lead workshops, mentor newcomers, turn their pain into purpose. Watching them stand taller each month is the sweetest justice I could ever imagine. Sometimes people ask me, do you regret the revenge? The cameras, the trap, the public exposure? I pause, touch the locket at my neck, and answer honestly, no.
Not for a second. Because what started as a plan to expose their greed became the moment I stopped letting grief define me. I didn't destroy them out of hate. I protected what was left of my heart. And in doing so, I opened the door for healing that reached far beyond my own front porch. If there's one thing I want you to carry away from this story, it's this. When someone tries to take your light in your darkest hour, don't let them convince you the darkness is all that's left. Fight, not with cruelty, but with truth, with courage, with the quiet refusal to stay small. Your story isn't over when loss arrives. It's only beginning to show you how unbreakable you really are. A small AI disclaimer. This entire series, from the first tearful hook to this final whisper, is a work of fiction created for entertainment, inspiration, and emotional storytelling. Names, characters, places, and incidents are products of imagination, with a little help from real human feelings we all share. Any resemblance to actual events or persons is purely coincidental. The revenge, the jewelry, the foundation, all crafted to feel real, so the emotions could land deep. Real-life justice looks different for everyone, and if you are facing something similar, please reach out to trusted professionals, support services, or legal help in your area. A huge, heartfelt thank you to YouTube and the amazing YouTube team for giving storytellers a home where voices like mine and yours can reach hearts around the world. Thank you for the platform, the community, the chance to connect through shared tears and triumphs. You make these journeys possible. And to you, the one who stayed until the very last word, thank you for listening, for feeling, for believing in second chances, third chances, endless chances. May your own story, whatever chapter you're in right now, unfold with gentle strength, unexpected kindness, and the kind of love that never truly leaves. Close your eyes for a second. Breathe in. Breathe out. Feel the quiet power inside you. That's where the real fortune lives. Until our stories meet again, keep shining. You were made for it. With all my heart, Sarah and the storyteller behind her.